the key development, since we were talking about expiries, is that NSE has deferred its plan to change the expiry day until further notice. And we'll talk about that in detail because that has a stock impact too. But that's the big pause that has happened. And when you talk about trade tariffs, negotiations, etc., I thought what Jeffries is saying is pretty interesting. Mahesh Nandarkar says that the negotiations between US and India are ongoing, and the mood in Delhi appears optimistic about a potential deal ahead of April 2nd. Possibly higher defense and oil and gas imports from the US could soften the impact. Some adverse impact for autos, pharma, textiles, and alcohol is possible. So this was interesting. Now, such the trade setup for the day today, but the lower market-wide rollover suggests that the March shorts were squared. Maybe some longs were carried forth into April as well, but very likely that positioning will not be too heavy ahead of April 2 and possibly after April 2, as well as the street digests the impact of the trade tariffs that are likely to come in. Now, you saw fairly high delivery percentages in stocks like Zomato, BPCL, etc. It's the talk of town. I thought it was a bit of a no-brainer because due to the Nifty rejig, there was buying that was supposed to happen. So you would expect this to anyways happen, and that has happened for sure. I mean, 70-75% kind of delivery volumes in a Zomato, in a BPCL. Britannia saw some selling, all on account of this. And the street is constructive on consumer discretionary. You've got to watch out for that bucket. The rolls were 93.2%. So if there's one bucket that the street went ahead and carried forward the longs, it seems to be in consumer discretionary. Now, you could argue because of one, the salaries going up in April, two, a hot summer, and therefore you have the air cooling solution companies likely seeing all of that. So that seemed to be a par for the course, and that seems to have happened. But how does the street analyze the derivative cues for March? Hiral gave a sneak peek. Let's get in Puneet to give us a complete detail of what the cues are suggesting. Good morning, Puneet.
Well, good morning, Neil. So we've seen the last 10 days very strong FII flows. So going into April is definitely a big positive. Another big positive that we saw yesterday was the sharp pullback from those lows of 23,400 that we saw yesterday, ending close to the 23,600 mark. While the GIFT Nifty is indicating that we'll open, the implied open is lower today, the 23,800 mark on the resistance side is something to watch out for, while the immediate support will be somewhere around the 23,400 mark. For the Bank Nifty as well, we've of course, seen the premiums of about 185 points specifically on the Nifty. For the Bank Nifty as well, it's, closing that 52,000 mark, and specifically the next couple of levels to watch out for will be 52,300 and 52,600 on the upside. And we've seen the sharp pullback from the 50,600 resistance level. Post that, we've not gone anywhere close to that, so that's definitely a key positive. Let's also look at the open interest distribution as well, because yesterday, because the new expiry for April 3rd has begun, so we've seen a lot of maximum call option actually at 25,400, while the majority of them are still hovering around the 24,000 mark, but we've seen a lot of open interest specifically in the 25,400 mark. On the put side, we've seen the maximum at 23,500, and that has been continuing over the last couple of weeks as well. So definitely another thing to watch out for. In terms of open interest gainers as losers, let's pull those stocks up, and we've seen IndusInd Bank see some kind of long build up now after the steep correction. We'll see if it is very short-lived or it continues the momentum, while we've also seen some long build up on stocks like Zomato as well as ACC. For Zomato, of course, we've seen the rejig is also part of it. There are some inflows expected. On the other hand, let's look at the open interest losers now as well. And stocks such as Godrej Industries, NCC, it's just short covering across the board for these stocks. So definitely a bullish momentum in this aspect. Finally, just if we can pull up the, the delivery data for yesterday, and there were 3 to 4 key stocks I want to highlight in the delivery data, because we did have we did have Jio as one of the key stocks to watch out for, but that was on the delivery aspect. But overall, it'll be important to see how we end today's session, because of course a new expiry today, but definitely something to watch out for going into this trade.